too late to change it.
Welcome back, everyone. Ronnie Rantz here alongside Tommy Krysan, Sports Shorts Monday edition. Hope everybody's had a great weekend and a lot to get to. It was a jam-packed weekend. LSU baseball, of course, took 2 out of 3 from Kentucky. Will Wade at his press conference today at noon, about 700 people in attendance for the press conference. That was the number I was given by folks that were there. I'm in Lake Chuck today, so I was not there. Got some thoughts on that press conference and some hires that he is making right now. But first, let's talk about LSU baseball, Tommy. The Tigers at won on Sunday. They were down 7-0. It looked like they were done for, and then all of a sudden they come back late and they blow out Kentucky 17-10. They are now 4-5 in the SEC of the LSU Tigers, tied for ninth place in the 16-team field. And Tommy, they're 4-5. They could easily be 5-5, but they could also just as easily be 2-7. I don't feel any better about this LSU baseball team today than I did before the weekend. Even though they won 2 out of 3 against Kentucky, I still think the same problems they had then are still the same problems. Who are going to be your go-to pitchers out of that bullpen? You don't have 3 of them you can hang your hat on. You still don't have Cooper Moore. Your catching defense is still brutal. You threw 3 wild pitches on Sunday. They just topped you with 4 wild pitches on Sunday. Their bullpen was worse than yours. I don't think Kentucky's that good of a team, quite frankly. They played awful this past weekend. And LSU's going through the easier part of its schedule. These first 9 games are some of the easier 9-game stretches that they're going to have. Make it 12 on paper, but at Tennessee is going to be an interesting challenge after they were swept this past weekend. That said, Tommy, they're 4-5. They have an opportunity to take a wounded Tennessee team this weekend that doesn't have its head coach. He's at the San Francisco Giants. So maybe they can get lucky and win this series. But again, I go back to I don't see the progress from this LSU baseball team other than a few players like Chase Dardar had a terrific weekend. He was the co-offensive player of the week. He emerged. That was a good sign. Obviously, John Pearson had a huge grand slam. That was a huge thing the other day. But I don't know. Am I being too critical?
No, I like the way you frame that. Like, okay, they won 2 out of 3 from a Kentucky team. We'll see how they do going forward. But there's still a lot too much coin flipping going on, especially in particular on the mound. Okay, and yeah, Seth Dardar had a nice weekend, and a couple other guys had some good moments and all that. Milam continues to play shortstop, top notch. But you're right, they didn't like solve any issues. And when you're down 7-0 on Sunday, you got to give them credit. They came back. Bats woke up, started knocking the heck out the ball, and they found a way to blow Kentucky out. So, that's fun, but there weren't a lot of questions answered. Maybe Seth Dardar stays at second base now for a while. That's about the only thing you can really pull from because, Gavin Guidry, who they decided to start, be the 3 guy because Cooper Moore's out, it was not a good outing for him, not even close. So, and then Rizzi did not have a good outing. Ronnie, something I was thinking about is, not 8 pitchers they use or whatever. He doesn't like guys throwing up, in my opinion. And I think these guys get on the mound and they know if they hit a batter or, they hit one down the line, they're coming out. I mean, I know some coaches like a guy to push through trouble. And I guess if you're down 7-0, you got to put the fire out. But I always thought, I think the mental thing is hurting this LSU team on the mound and in the plate. I'm not smart enough to know the answer. But it's just when you try to think, okay, why? Maybe that's it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I disagree with you big time on it because you only extend people if they earn it, if they deserve it. There's nobody that deserves that you have faith and trust in that, oh, you look like garbage back-to-back pitchers, but I got faith in you. No, you got to earn that trust. And the reality is I very rarely disagree with Jay when he goes to the bullpen. I mean, because most of the time he's going out of the bullpen out of necessity. No, sometimes he'll go to the bullpen occasionally, not a lot this year, where a guy comes in, looks really good for two batters, and then he pulls them because he's playing an analytics game or something. I'm not a big fan of that. I think if a guy's going well, you leave him in there because it's college baseball. I'm not a huge analytics guy in college baseball. The lefty righty thing I think is overrated. I think it's more about can the guy execute and deliver the pitches where he needs to. And they just don't have a lot of guys that you have faith in. Now, I do believe right now with Cooper Moore being out, you've got to let William Schmidt throw 100, 110 pitches. You've got to let your Friday night guy, throw 100, 110 pitches, good or bad, because they have got to eat up innings. They've got to save your bullpen that, if LSU has to rely on its bullpen, it's going to be a bad weekend. You've got to have two good quality starts by those two starters to give yourself a chance. And look, they overcame it, right? They got one good start. They got one not so good start. Like they kind of overcame not great pitching. The back end of the bullpen on Sunday did a good job. The last 4 innings, they put up donuts, let their offense get rolling, and Kentucky just was disgusting on Sunday. They just fell apart unbelievably on the mound, defensively, mental mistakes. Like it was one of the worst played games I've seen, and they just collapsed.
Yeah, they did. And of course, their bullpen, Sunday bullpen.
Oof.
Sometimes you get the guys that, the coach would rather not be putting out there, but they had to do that. And again, well, Kentucky was ranked coming in. They were okay, but we'll see how they do going forward. But
You know,
I think for summer,
I'll say this, Tommy, is that like I come from the perspective of LSU needs to look like what to win the national championship, right? Like I'm not worried about what other teams look like. Like, yeah, LSU looks bad, but the other teams are worse, right? Like that's not going to play out over the long haul. You've got to be what can LSU baseball hang their hat on? What's the one thing LSU baseball this year can hang their hat on knowing come hell or high water, we're going to what? They don't have it.
no.
Our defense, you play good defense Sunday, but your catching's not good defense. Our first baseman's just average at best. We can really hit. You're in the bottom third. Yeah, you hit on Sunday, but you're not really hitting. Pitching, no. ERA is one of the worst in the league. They don't have one thing they can hang their hat on. So that's why I'm looking at it from Omaha, national championship. What does this team need to be trending towards? How they need to be putting it together, all the pieces so that they can win in May and June. And yeah, they won 2 out of 3, but they didn't get better towards winning the national championship in my mind.
I would agree with that. I think that's well stated, and I think the questions are still there in bold print. And yeah, you got Southern tomorrow, a game you'll be calling with Lynn, 6:30 at the box, and then you go to Tennessee, Knoxville this weekend, who just got swept by Vandy, as we mentioned. So you try to win these 4 games is all you can kind of do right now is get game at a time and try to get everything to line back up because right now, you're not an Omaha team. You're not a host team by any stretch through the games that we've seen play. What's that, 19 and 10? Yeah, 29 games. So they're more than halfway through. But we know the
You know
rest of
what's
the schedule is tough.
what's shocking is that this past weekend, every single series was a sweep except in Baton Rouge, which is bizarre. To see that happen. 7 out of 8 series were sweeps. Um, the other thing is that Ole Miss, like, what the hell has happened to Ole Miss? Like, Mike Bianco's in the hot seat again. Like, again,
Yeah,
here we go. It's all again. This was supposed to be a great team this year for Ole Miss. They got swept at home against their rival Mississippi State, and they got beat. Like
yeah.
Mississippi State is way better than them this weekend. And I'm sure Mike. Here we go. He's back again, 3-6 or whatever they. I think they're 3-6. Tommy, back on the hot seat questioning. I mean, because now you can't lose to your rival and get beat like that at home and then not go make a regional. Like, so it's the good news is that it seems like the outside of Texas, it seems like the SEC is very shaky. very up and down, very like 1 week to the next, don't know what you're going to get from teams.
I agree with you. We've seen that through 3 series. 7 to go. We've seen that through 3. You're correct.
Yeah. All right. So good news is, hey, congratulations, Chase Dardar. I mean, my God, like
Seth Dardaw.
Seth Dardar, Chase's distant relative. He was hitting as low. I think he got down to maybe 211 or something like that. And now over the last 2-3 weeks, he's turned it around and hitting the ball hard. Even some of his outs are loud. He has
Well,
really gotten it going.
and he also holds the record for the highest bat flip in LSU baseball history. Did you see that video?
I did.
Like that thing was up there. That wasn't just like casually up there. Like that ball was that bat. I don't know how high it was. Somebody could figure that out. But that's the highest. I would say it's the highest bat flip in the history of LSU baseball.
Yeah. It was the
Of
black
course,
bat
Kentucky
flip.
didn't like it, but
Yeah.
oh well.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like I don't like any of it, but they all do it, so I'm not going to pick sides. It just is what it is. All right, so Southern tomorrow and at Tennessee, it'll be great this weekend to see that. Um, Will Wade press conference today. I thought there were going to be more people. I think LSU thought there were going to be more people. They gave away a free T-shirt to all the students. A little surprised at the attendance. 700 still great, but I mean they were thinking they might have a couple thousand. Um, and he had one of the quotes. What was the quote of the day?
I'm paraphrasing. He wants to build a winning program. His goal is to win. If not, he's going to be the first coach fired twice by the same school because obviously he's had a little play with that. But he said that, and of course he said boot up like 20 times, and he's going to hit the ground running. He's already hired a couple of assistants. We'll tell you about that in a second. But I'm like you. Maybe if that press conference had been at night, there'd have been more people. But Monday at noon, I don't know. The diehards went and the cronies went, but there were people who probably wanted to go, maybe couldn't get away from work with such short notice.
Well, he said he mentioned now if I don't go to the Final Four, I might get fired. It'll be the second time. Uh, he's gonna turn this program around right away. I have no question about it. Now, Final Four, that's a different story. But as far as LSU being in the top 9 of the SEC and making an NCAA tournament, like honestly, I think he's going to do that 3 out of every 4 years. That's if not, just about every year, but I would say 3 out of every 4 years, Will Wade will have this team in the NCAA tournament. And quite frankly, that's all you got to do at LSU
Yeah,
basketball. Yeah, it's nice if you make the Sweet 16 or you win a game, but just get to the NCAA tournament. Be in the top half of the league, get to the NCAA tournament. Everything beyond that's gravy.
I agree with you. I think he's going to have an immediate impact. Okay, I think he really is, and because he's going to hit the ground running. I mean, he talked about not everybody's for LSU, but he is, and LSU's for him. And he wasn't born here. Talked about his family loves his daughter was born here in Baton Rouge in his previous tenure as a coach. So and he said he had so many great friends from this area, and he also thanked a lot of people in the Lake Charles community as well. So, he said all right things. If there's such a thing as winning the press conference, he did that today. And, all the quotes and the video clips. And, I mean, he came in, Ronnie, with fireworks and smoke fog machine. And him and his wife and his daughter walking hand in hand, come rolling in. And first one he hugs is Virg Osbury, who is his boss. And, so it was a lot of fanfare. But I'm like you. I thought there might be more people. I didn't think it'd be packed, but I thought there'd be more than 700. And again, I think it was a little bit because Monday 12 noon.
Yeah, no, it was a home run. It was a hit. And oh, by the way, he hired Johnny Jones, former LSU basketball star, part of the '81 Final Four team. Johnny Jones, going to be back after longtime assistant, head coach, done a good job really at Texas State. The last I don't know 7 years or so he's been there. Glad to see Johnny, man. Really like him.
Well, you and I both know Johnny. I've talked to Johnny many, many times, and I'm sure he feels like he's coming home too. I didn't see a quote, but he played here. He was an assistant coach here. He was a head coach here. He's got to have purple and gold in his veins, no doubt. So I think that's a very good hire. Plus, he was over there at Texas Southern in the city of Houston. He's got the ability to recruit in the city of Houston. And that's part of it. And then he's also going to hire Rick Stansbury, who for 9 years was head coach at Mississippi State. few years ago, but he's still in the SEC. Been at Memphis recently. So, he's a big time college guy. That's two big names who were head coaches in the FCC now joining Will Wade's staff as he's moving quickly to put that together. The portal opens on April 7th. That's next Tuesday is when the portal opens and they can start getting some players. And they're going to lose some. We know how that goes, but it's going to be fun to watch how this story develops.
Johnny Jones, a good hire for a lot of reasons. One, he and Verge obviously have a long relationship. Johnny's well loved by all alumni, LSU basketball alumni. So you build that bridge to the Dale Brown days. You build that bridge to the locals that played for John Brady and all that in the Final Four. There's a lot to like there with the Johnny Jones hire. Not to mention pretty good coach and a really good recruiter. So really excited about that. That brings a little juice to the staff. But TK, you can tell my voice is going. I'm gonna let you take it from here and tell
Well,
us a
one
little bit
thing
about Court Street Cafe.
One thing, you give us a quick comment on Dr. Brian Maggard, Director of Athletics for the Raging Cajuns, named to the College Football Playoff Committee. He'll be one of the people in that room with the rankings and placing all the teams. So I think that's great for the Raging Cajuns athletic department. And I've met him. I know you know him better than I do, but I met him years ago and had a nice long conversation with him. I was over there. But I think that's excellent for him and for the Raging Cajun athletic department.
Yeah, it's a feather in his cap, and
Yeah.
obviously he spent a lot of years at Missouri as an assistant AD, and then he made the move to UL and did a nice job over there. And I really like him. Nice, wonderful guy, good wife, great wife, and got the chance to watch the national championship with him in Atlanta when Ohio State Notre Dame played. I actually went over there with my brother and Dr. Maggard and his wife and some other folks from UL made the trip over with us. So look forward to wherever the national championship is next year. We need to be there. I need to let Gus know. We got to be there.
Okay, yeah. Let's get it on the map. All right, Ronnie, appreciate it. We'll be
All
back
right.
Friday morning with Sports Shorts Friday. All right, don't let me forget to tell you about Court Street Cafe. It's where we're here on Monday nights, right here in Port Allen. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 days a week. It will be closed this coming Sunday for Easter, and they wish everyone a happy Easter with steak night on Friday. So get on over to Court Street Saturday night steak night. He's listening. It's steak night is Saturday night. That's been the tradition here for a long time. They get their steaks from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, Port Allen, just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge. Connect on Facebook and Instagram. You can keep up with the lunch specials, the dinner specials, drink specials at the bar right behind me. Court Street Cafe. We've been coming over here for a long time, and many of you have been here. If not, you need to stop by as soon as you can. And again, closed this Sunday for Easter, and steak night is Saturday. All right, we'll be back this coming Friday morning from Tremonti's in Baton Rouge with another episode of Sports Shorts. That'll be Sports Shorts Friday. You've been watching Sports Shorts Monday. Like and share and spread the word. Thank you.